All right, all right. Welcome back or welcome to Orange County's very own. I am your host, Makai Louie, and I have a very special guest today. Welcome, Kazi Jay, to the studio. What's going on?
Just honestly really stoked to be here.
Let's go.
I love your
Likewise.
podcast, so
Thank you,
I'm
thank you.
just stoked to be able to pull up and hang out and chat.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys don't know who Kazi Jay is, it's time to get on board. I'll have you drop your handles and all that good stuff. Let people know where they can find you, see all your music. She is an awesome artist. I met her through Austin Milby, a.k.a. Cadence. We do a lot of work with each other. And, yeah, I've always been inspired just about the hustle, consistency, and then, Austin talks very highly of you. So, at the same time.
That's what brothers do.
That's right. That's right. So we're gonna dive into who you are today. I think you just listen to some of your story and getting to know you. I think it could impact a lot of people and bring a lot of value to people, and that's what we do at Orange County's very own. So, talk to us, Kazi. What's going on in your life right now? How was your day, by the way? It seemed like maybe a little hectic. You're doing some traveling.
Yeah, well, today wasn't super hectic. I have been traveling there the last couple of days. Today was a settling day. It was good.
Yeah,
good. I just worked. I work remotely, and I got to tan and work, so it was the best.
There you go. So what do you do? Chilling. What do you do working remotely?
So my side hustle is actually amazing. I work for a production company.
Okay.
I was kind of handling operations, just director of operations for the entirety of the startup production company.
Nice.
And then I have recently, within the last couple of weeks, filled that position and moved into the social media position because that's more remote and it allows me to just kind of be out here in Los Angeles a little bit more.
Live your life a little bit more.
Now that we're opening back up and I'm I gotta be out there, but I love this job and I love what they're doing, and let's be real, you're an independent artist, you gotta be making money.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that for sure.
Yeah.
I'm curious, where are they based at if you're remote?
They're based out of Honolulu, Hawaii. So Kauai, but Honolulu. Yeah.
And tell the people, where are you from?
I'm from the North Shore of Kauai.
Man. It's a beautiful place. I've been there, actually.
Yeah. It's
specifically.
the Garden Isle.
Poipu?
Mm-hmm.
Poipu is where we stay. Poipu.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful island.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely go there if you can. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So born and raised, yeah?
Yeah.
So what was it like? What was your first interaction off the island?
Well, we traveled a lot growing up.
Okay.
If I should talk about this. My dad had a very interesting job growing up.
Yeah.
They put him in prison. So,
Okay.
But that job required us to travel a lot. So we were just always traveling until he went and got locked away, and then we moved to California for a couple years.
Okay.
So we lived in a couple different parts. I ended up in total in my lifetime going to 14 different schools and living in about 38 different homes by the time I was 18 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So
that's incredible.
That
in the sense of struggle and challenge. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I look back and I'm like, wow, no wonder I'm so adaptable, but it was a lot, and it's something that I wouldn't want to put on, my kids, but that's not to say it doesn't make strong people who are very capable.
That's right. That's right. So that's kind of in a way where you got the connection to California, because you like to spend time out here for sure. You do a lot of shows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When was the last you had was it like a mini tour that you had here in California?
Yep, I was on tour with Emily Brimlow.
Yeah.
And then we toured with a bunch of other awesome acts, some people from out of state.
Okay.
But it was a 6 show or 4? I don't know. It was just like a weekend, basically. Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, you were hitting
Thursday,
it hard.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And we were just touring every single day and traveling up and down the coast. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot, though. It was like last summer and the pandemic restrictions.
Straight up.
So.
I mean, you guys navigated it well. It sounded like.
We were so desperate to just get in front of people, and to know that the thirst was still so alive was just so encouraging. And yeah.
So how has that been? Just to stay on that topic a little bit, as far as as an artist, I've only performed with Austin once, and know how that connection with the audience is so important. It's just it changes the whole dynamic. How was that going into just this new world that we're in now? Because you had to navigate it. You still went out and did your thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like we were, California's a bit different, and especially in the regions we were in, and the people that were buying tickets to our shows
Yeah.
are people that I think are more along the lines of, hey, it's your body, it's your choice. If you want to wear a mask, you can, and if you don't want to, that's fine. Like if you want, it's just about respect, and I think that's what like our just fan base I think is it's a very like respect giving fan base, both me and Emily's.
It's very cool.
Yeah, so I
love that approach. It gives people the freedom, like to choose.
I think we have to. I think I don't know that the forcing is working. It doesn't look like it. So.
I don't think so either.
So we're not gonna force that on people that we love and know are paying money to come see us. And as far as like how does it look differently is like in the context of like us in the audience, like I feel like there was a lot of nostalgia that like took place, I think for both the listener and us as the artists. And it was honestly one of like the most like reassuring things.
That's sweet.
Was to know that at the end of the day, music, I always think about heaven and like how music is really the only thing that they talk about being in heaven. And
that is true.
like our loved ones and music. And it's like how beautiful is that we have something that is like literally so heavenly that we have on Earth.
I love that. I love that. Talk us about where the passion came from for music, like where did that start for Kazi Jay, and I want this to kind of segue into, the rise of Kazi Jay as well, and talk about how things are going now. Because it's exciting. We're stoked for you.
Thank you guys. I love the support and just feeling like.
Oh, you already know.
Hell.
It's MWP family, OCVO family. You already know the deal. But yeah, like how did you fall in love with music? Like where did that start for you?
Well, my mom was a singer-songwriter as well. And I just grew up around it. I grew up around going to restaurants and weddings, and she like was the most talented, like prolific songwriter that I had ever grown up like that was even like the Eva Cassidys and like being raised on such good like music, like even now I look back at my mom's like just ability, and my mom passed a couple years ago, but like I look at it and like I truly had such an amazing like influence, and she came from a family of musicians, like Southern gospel, huge. Like some of my cousins are like big Southern gospel, like they're big. So like you can look them up, like they're in like they've won Grammys and things like that.
Wow.
So like
there you go.
Yeah.
It's in the blood. That's really cool though.
Yeah. So that's a lot where it started. But me and my brother.
Shout out your moms for the influence and continued influence as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's where it started, and it's.
And how has it evolved over time? Like how did because obviously there's steps, right? And this is like on the outside of it, looking in. There's steps to, for instance, like really driving that for your life. Spending that time, that extra effort, those long nights, the planning, the strategizing, the songwriting, all that stuff. Like, what made you want to start really going full force towards it? Like a career in it, or like building your brand as Kazi?
I think like it's kind of interesting because my answer to your last question is the answer to your next question.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, I think the way like people might receive it, it might seem like sad, but it is the reality of what drove me from such a young age, and that was my mom. But not in necessarily the way that I wanted to be like her, but like quite the opposite. Like I didn't want to be like my mom.
Yeah. My
mom ended up like really deep in her alcoholism, but I just saw my mom struggle for so long, unable to make it happen for herself. Yeah. And seeing talent die is a heartbreak you just can't explain. Like, especially watching it as a child, Wow. And
someone that you look up to.
So I just think that I knew I had to leave Kauai, and I knew that God would place the right people in my life. And I just took it step by step. I took opportunities. I took an amazing opportunity with an artist named Joanna Beasley, who is coincidentally the artist that like was really big in my relationship with Austin and the Milbys.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
That was his first tour. Was the tour that we were on.
Seattle, right? The one in Seattle. Yeah. Very cool.
But I had ended up working with her, and then I just, didn't move home after the big tour. I just was not interested.
Wasn't
like,
ready,
yeah, she kind of was like, hey, like, if you want to stay out here, there's a community for it, you know? And I was like, maybe I will. I was like 18 years old, and
what
I
a
just,
perfect time to do it, you know?
And I knew it in my heart, and I just like knew that going back home at that time wasn't going to give me what I needed, because it's so much different than being back home now and like being 27 years old and living the life I live now. Like, I can't imagine what my life would have looked like if I moved back home after that tour. And,
yeah, that's a good point.
you know, to get off the rock was the hardest part. To stay off was just discipline. It was just like, you know,
you talked about it too, daily. Like your faith in God. That's what I was gonna say too. Like it's so good for like, you know, anyone that's listening or watching this, as far as like taking that story, right, of just if you know that there's something for you, especially like whether you believe in God or not, like you feel that driving force or that energy pulling you towards something, there's a reason for that, you know? And I think a lot of the time, especially on that, like that teetering, when maybe you've explored it a little bit and you're like, okay, now it's like almost definitive. To really go after that was something I wanted to bring up tonight regardless. Like for people to just, when they feel that, because this life is so short and those opportunities diminish so quickly in front of us, to just go after it, explore it, see what happens, regardless if you fall on your face or not. Like, just enjoy it. Enjoy the process as much as possible.
Oh my gosh, failing is the way to succeed.
And we have to.
over and over and over and over again.
Accepting it, right?
Yeah.
Like, the more that I've gotten older and accepted those failures, and like, I'm not inviting them, you know what I mean? No one wants to lose. Like, I'm a winner. I love to win, but it, you know, the caveat is like the more that you accept those failures, and as cliche it is, you know, you transform those and take that energy and disperse it into something else rather than holding on to it or whatever you might do, right? But that's awesome. And, you know, again, just like kind of segueing into what you're going on now, you know, you have a lot going on. You just dropped some music. Just dropped some new music, so go check it out.
I have a song coming out this Friday.
There we go.
Yeah.
So plug the people real quick. Hit them with the Instagram. You're on TikTok too, yeah?
Yeah.
Of course she is.
Know, I'm just...
Spotify playlist going nuts. Spotify numbers going crazy. So yeah, plug the people. Tell them what's up. Where can they find you?
Well, my artist name is Kazi Jay, and you can find it on all of the platforms, Kazi space Jay.
Yeah. It'll be in the description too, but.
Yeah, that's where you can find all the goods. And I have a single coming out this Friday called Rituals. Cool. It is the second coming single of my upcoming album, Healing at Home.
Let's go.
Yeah, so I'm really stoked.
Speak of the topic you were just talking about. So Healing at Home, does it have to do with now being back?
Totally. Oh my gosh, totally. I mean, I wrote that song. It's so funny because actually today I was sitting in a meeting and I was talking to my A&R and I was like, I don't know if the album should be called this because like, we have so like that's kind of up in the air. But for me, the album, like it's like it is my Healing at Home, regardless of what the title ends up being.
Yeah. That's really
like
cool.
whatever the lead track is, like we'll get there when we get there in a couple weeks or whatever. But like, yeah, I wrote this album out of a place of like the pandemic just happened. I was 3 months fresh off of my mom dying, and I was just, you know, like back to this place where I thought I'd never be again. I never thought I'd ever move home. And I never thought that I would be, you know, living at my parents' again after like 8 years of independence, 8 years of going after what I wanted. And it in a way felt like a failure, even though the entire world was also experiencing losses as I was. But
that's a really good point.
As we are as humans, we like really take things and we're like so personal about them.
Absolutely.
But for me, I was like an emotional, like my mom just died. The world is ending. Like,
what is happening?
What's happening? And then,
my gosh,
it was like it was just, you know, it was like an ice, like one of those iceberg things where it's like, you know, it's hitting. And then all of a sudden I just couldn't stop like writing and processing about not just the loss of my mom, but the, you know, the last 8 years of my life, the young 20s, the failures, the doubts in God, the doubt in myself, the new understandings of God I've like come into, and all of these different dynamics that are completely, I think, just relevant to every human in the sense of like, we just all have questions, and we all have crap. And it's,
No doubt.
So I just took the time, and I just processed, and I needed a therapist, but I had my pencil and my pen and my guitar.
There you go.
And
all resources help,
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I mean, and to touch on that, obviously it's such like a, prominent subject and hot topic as far as mental health goes and things like that. Going through the things that you've gone through in your life, like what are some things that you gravitate to typically, in those tough times, those challenges, and a lot of the time for all of us in general, right? Like it ranges day to day. Sometimes it's in waves, a lot stronger than others, but what do you typically like to gravitate to?
Yeah, I think, like you said, like waves, seasons are such a big thing. As I get older, I realize that I look back on my life, and in my young 20s, a huge form of like healing for me or coping therapy was things like just radically being into my fitness and controlling what was happening in my body, or what was happening, like, essentially, with my body, with my mind, and vice versa. And those were like those
your
parallels with real life. And then it was like radical relationship with my church community, and then with all these things come more potential, like with exercise, it got unhealthy to a point, and I had to work through that. And church, it got unhealthy to a point, and it was just all these different seasons. Even therapy, like I went into therapy at a certain point when I just was like hitting the button with my mom, and like not being able to enable her anymore, and wanting to walk into like freedom in my own life, and that just looked like me taking ownership and drawing more awareness to my day-to-day, and just practicing things that bring me back into the present moment. And
so important.
Even right now I'm just going through so much learning on just deep just respect and honor for myself. And that's something I've never really I think been programmed to have. And it's such a beautiful thing. I feel like God or the universe just really pouring into me is, how important our vessel is. And that we all just have this entity of God that lives in us. And it's so important to just really honor that in everything you do, in your word, in your speech, like
literally
in everything,
like every present
and then to
moment.
just have fun, to enjoy your life. Like that's a huge
Thank
thing
you
for me.
That. Thank you
it's
for
like
that.
I gotta enjoy my life.
Straight up.
Yeah, that's been the best part of getting into my mid-20s is I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can take care of myself. Like I can have fun. Even though I'm like an artist that works really freaking hard on top of having like a 9-to-5, I still enjoy my life, and I make surfing a daily thing for me. Like my, my family's big in waterman sports, and like surf and hiking and being at home is the quality of life that I love. Even coming here, I'm like, oh, I love California, but like, I love my home, and I love who I am when I'm there. I think everybody loves their home, but I'm like, this is my home.
No, it's so cool.
Yeah.
You touched on something that's so important too that I want to highlight again. As we're coming to an end right here, like that piece of stepping back and slowing down everything in our lives to hone in on what we have here and now, and loving ourselves. But loving ourselves in ways that, challenge ourselves, get into uncomfortable situations. We are meant to withhold so much, or to like withstand so much. But at the same time, like you said, like we have to have fun, and like my mind's always running very quickly, and I'm always, trying to find different ways to improve and, help impact people's lives and different stuff like that. And at times, just like, other people's missions and the things that they have in their life, like we can get very caught up in those things. And whatever you're doing at home or at work or at school, at your churches, like there are things that, you said it great. Like it just, you get too caught up in them. But all this to say, like, enjoy the process, love yours, be so grateful for like what you have, even the challenges or trials that you're facing, they're yours. Like own them. There's a beauty behind that consistent thought process and the habitual behaviors around implementing that into your life and really making it intentional. And I think honestly, the best part about like approaching your days that way is like you just get more out of it. You know, you give more and you get more, and it just allows you to just, like I was talking about earlier, like just being in a flow state. And the more that you can be in that, you get to be your best self. But wonderful. Well, Kazi, I don't want to keep you long. I know you got places to go. No, I'm just playing. But no, like honestly, thank you for just like what you do in general. You know, at the end of the day, like, you know, you have an amazing story, right? And a lot of times, like maybe you've talked about it a lot, or whatever the case is, it's like this is your story, and it 1000% impacts and inspires people. At the same time, like you're setting the tone for people who are chasing after that, right? Like chasing after that lifestyle that they want, that vision they have for their life, but taking the sacrifices, right, to go after it and do the 9 to 5 plus chasing and hustling after everything else, right? And just making it happen and getting up and going. So that's what we're all about around here. So that's why I definitely wanted to bring you on, and I appreciate you taking the time to come out here.
Yeah.
We're all rooting for you. Keep getting after it.
Thank you guys for having me.
And you know, keep putting out those fire songs.
And
we're hyped for the album.
Thank you.
Whatever the title of the album is.
Whatever it ends up coming out to be.
Yeah, we're hyped. So go check her out, guys. Kazi.Jay.
Kazi Jay or Kazi.Jay. Oh my gosh, you know my handle.
There we go.
Kazi.Jay on the gram.
There
Everywhere else it's just Kazi Jay.
Go check her out, guys. This is your host, Makai Louie. This is Orange County's very own. Love you guys. Keep getting after it. We'll see you soon. Peace.
Aloha.
Let's go.
Let's go.